What's up guys, it's the Prince of 1098 and today I bring you the second installment of My Hero Academia's Quirk Science. Last episode, we briefly touched on the possible dangers of a child randomly discovering their quirk and how quirks can affect a person's physical appearance. In this episode, I kind of want to talk about how someone's quirk can not only affect their physical appearance, but also affect them on a mental level or influence their personality as well. That's right, that means more theories, more information, and most importantly, more headcanon. Hey, but first, what's a brother gotta do to get an intro around here? So as I said before the intro, last video we dove ever so slightly into how quirks can affect a person's physical appearance. For example, Ida's engine quirk.
I'm fast as fuck, boy!
Without it, he'd no longer be Inchinium, he'd just kind of be a teacher's pet. Or Mineta. Before we go on, Mineta, I actually gotta roast you, bro. I'm sorry. Honestly, I'd rather have no quirk than Mineta's. Imagine being stuck with a hairstyle like that, you couldn't do anything about it. Honestly, his quirk is probably the reason why he's so short and small in the first place. His quirk probably makes him severely malnourished. Think about it, y'all. I bet his quirk probably takes away all kinds of vitamins and nutrients away from his body just to create those stupid little balls on the top of his head. Pause! And to make matters worse, Mans is wearing a literal diaper as a hero suit. Homie gets no hose and has no game and wonders why. You know ho have an ass. But I digress. Then there's Toru Higakure, whose physical appearance is literally her quirk. The only one in the show that's 100% invincible to both Aizawa's quirk canceling and bad hair days. Also, she's the only one for the show that I can draw pretty good. Well, only when she's butt-ass naked though. I mean, there's so many others, the list goes on, but that does beg the question. Can these quirks be negated? Like, Eraserhead really isn't stopping Hagakure's quirk because it's always on, but I'm sure All For One could still steal it. But could he steal a quirk like Ojiro's? Like, how would that work though? Like, would his tail just kind of fall off and another one will grow on All For One? Would he be okay with that? I mean, I would. That's another quirk that I would rather not have. I mean, how does he even shit? Moving on, it's a gimme that quirks can affect your physical appearance, or in some cases are your physical appearance. However, it goes unbeknownst to man as to whether or not it can affect a person on a mental level. I say all that coming off the heels of the My Villain Academia chapters where we had recently gotten a Himiko Toga backstory. Not getting into too many details though, her backstory consists of a strong fascination with blood, which coincidentally I don't think is that much of a coincidence. I mean, I figured it would be kind of hard for a person with hemophobia to use this quirk, or hell, even someone who's just fucking normal. But since that's her quirk, she gets a pass. I don't know why y'all were hyping up as best girl though. I'm willing to bet that the way she's just been sucking on people's blood that she's gotta be carrying something by now. There's no way you do that shit and stay clean. You dirty, dirty girl. What's up with the anime community's fetish for psycho women anyways? That shit's crazy. However, that's beside the point. For now. Her quirk appears to affect the way that she acts. If you think it's just a coincidence that a girl with a blood-related quirk has an infatuation with blood, then fine. Let's just take a look at other case studies. Starting with my boy Jin Bubai Gawara. As cool as that name is, I'm just gonna kinda refer to him as Deadpool Jr. His quirk is a direct reflection on his mental health. His whole quirk is to clone himself, so you can't tell me it's just a coincidence that he has a second voice in his head. Almost like there's two of him? It's crazy, ain't it? It's almost like I'm right. He also had to deal with the fear of thinking he himself is a clone, though he recently got over that fear when fighting the Quirk Liberation Army when he took massive damage and didn't disband like his other clones do. I mean, there's many more. Endeavor with his fire quirk can be considered hot-headed. Shigaraki with a decay quirk wants to destroy shit. Mineta, as horny as he is, has a quirk that has to do with balls. Pause! I mean, come on now, y'all get the point. Though, of course, the problem with this theory is that we don't see it with everyone. I mean, we see Asui really doing the frog roleplay right down to the ribbits, while Spinner is a whole-ass lizard and practically acts like a regular dude. I'm pretty sure Asui isn't even croaking either. I think she's just saying ribbit every now and then as if she has clinical lycanthropy. And for those of you who don't know, clinical lycanthropy is best known as a rare psychiatric syndrome that practically makes the affected person think they can transform into, has transformed into, or is an animal. Which I'm sure she has, just like I said earlier with Toga and her blood fetish. But is it really fair to call them mental disorders though? I mean, they play a huge role into helping a quirk user get the most out of their quirk because like I said before, no regular Joe Schmo would even realize he or she had a quirk like Toga's because they're not going to be drinking blood for fun in the first place. I personally don't think it's any sort of mental disorder as it clearly plays a vital role in a user's ability to use their quirk. Therefore, I believe it's simply the body's way of adapting to whatever ability it has. And if you haven't noticed yet, I'm using that good old headcanon here, I think it has everything to do with quirk compatibility. I also think there's levels to this shit. How well does your quirk suit your body? Well, I think the people whose quirk greatly suits their body will find their mental state functioning differently than most, and it's probably going to be related to the quirk itself, while people who are not so compatible with their quirk most likely won't experience that, as well as might be physically hurt by their quirks. Well, we already know that you can train your quirk, so I'm sure people can change that. However, I believe that's how it stands. Though that does pose even more questions, as that boy All For One does exist. How would people who have had their mental state affected by their quirk react to it being taken away? I'm sure Toga would still go around killing people and sucking them dry. Their blood, I mean. But I'm sure you could take away Asui's quirk and she would have a hard time not acting like a fucking frog at times. I'm sure it's almost muscle memory at this point. Also, would a quirk like that affect someone's mental state if it were given to them? Like if All For One stripped Himiko of her quirk and gave it to someone else, would they over time learn to love blood the way she does? Or would you have to grow up with it to not be disgusted by the idea of drinking blood in the first place? Quirks affecting the user's mind and personality is a rather interesting idea in the My Hero Academia universe. We see this happen with certain quirk users, and it's an interesting dynamic that gives characters a lot more room to develop in the series. It also opens the door to many other possibilities in the series, like... No. I already said don't get me started on...